out in a particular direction. The handle is going to come off in a particular direction, which may well be, in most cases, straight upwards. But where the reserve is located there, the way it wants to come out is that way. And if you keep hauling in the direction of the pins, you'll get a lot of friction and you'll get a lot of trouble. And in certain designs, it will come out. Anybody got an advanced Impress 3 here?
I have success.
Pins, everything's come open. He's got his little bollock in his hand. He knows to throw it and so on. And you haven't been Sierra Leone lately, have you? Ebola victim. But basically, you can see here on this particular design, a lot of you have this. This is a deployment bag, debag system, and you've got 1, 2, 3 mouth locks on it. Okay, they've all got to come off, one or two, whatever. So when he actually throws this, you'll see, and it is actually set up wrong, but that does work. It comes out, and there's his bag is open. All right. His parachute will come out, and it will probably inflate. If it's packed inside out, some sort of air is going to go into it. This works. So he's passed the 3 stages. Okay. So make sure you do pop and pull. As it goes out, all his lucky bands come out. We have brought some elastic bands. If you walk away from me, does that. This is sort of like a stage deployment. So then it pulls out the bag. Just got it roughly done. Like this. This might have a drogue on it, which pulls it further away, but out it's come. Then a little bubble of air goes into there. Puff, 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 puff. It's a Charlie double cap. So this design's got like a little cap on top of the main parachute, so the air comes out, slows everything up. Don't ask me a question. And there it is. And it's open. And the chances are, even if I looked at this and thought, well, that's been folded a bit shoddily or stuff like that, he's away. But it was actually the 3 primary actions that got this parachute out. Any failure and it wouldn't have happened. Okay? So thanks for that. That's all out. Pick it up, give it a little shake, and get that one off there. And that makes it all drop down, and all will be revealed in a second. Now, there's a very big principle about packing a parachute, which we've touched upon, which is, when you do the load, you know, we talked about that peeling and all those questions that you had, what you want is the load to come on all the lines at the same time. If it comes on one line, instead of all the others, then it's probably going to break that line. Same as, that's why lines sometimes occasionally broken in paragliders, because only one line gets shot globally. So, we want to make sure that all the lines are even. So we've dropped the apex down there. Now my friend, see that? The apex inside has been pulled down, and if I get my friend here, hold that, you will see that inside here, this big thick line is in the middle, and that has been pulled down into the canopy here. All right? Now, on all the different types of parachutes we've got here today, that will pull down to a different position. On the Maydays, it will come actually to the hem. On the annulars, rather scarily, it will be down here. All right? Don't worry. The principle is that all the lines are tight. Now, some of you, I know you had a skydiver friend who came along and used to comb the lines for you and did a 4-line check, which we will do. I'll show you that. Okay? But generally on the whole, if you put a parachute under tension, so if this was all things, and we tighten, that's about 15, not really, 10 to 15 kilos, and you give it a twang, like that, all the tinkle tangles come out. You very rarely have to run up and down with a comb. I used to carry all the kits and combs and everything. I would turn up with a big board and everything. But that actually does it. But if you've seen military packers, as I have, and my friend Dell, who packs ejector seats for civilian owners of civilian jet craft, he does it on a tension where you can almost play Amazing Grace on the strings. It's that tight. And that solves a lot of problems. So doing that and doing that, actually, most of the time, gets the tangle out. So we've got that, all the lines are tight. The next thing we've got to do, the other principle, is we've got to make sure But when the material opens, it doesn't really rub against itself. Now, if I put that inside, if that inflated and that had to come out, it's going to pass through a whole load of material to inflate. And it's going to be friction, it's going to slow it up, and it's not going to be very effective. So what I can actually do, and this is not the world's greatest canopy to demonstrate it, because we have this capping system, but what I can actually do, when I do this, and when you start doing this, do not do this. Okay? That will get you into a lot of trouble, because every now and then, when you just shake it out and put it on the floor, you'll do this, and you've missed that panel that's inside. The way that you flake around the bottom on the hem of the parachute is you put your fingers on the very bottom, there where the line is, you slide your finger out, you bring that gore out to the side, and then you put it over. Okay? And again here, slide it over like this. And you slide it around, and you see Bertie's helping me at the top end doing that, so you do Bertie's end in a minute. So I'm doing that. So once again, I do not just reach over and pull something over. I go to the line, I slide my finger, and I will bring a panel out. Now while you're doing that, you're doing an inspection. So this goes back to the question you just asked. And you're looking for damage. What sort of damage I hear you ask? I didn't think. But basically, if you go, oh, what's that? That's damage. Yeah? If you have to get your microscope out and go, oh, there's a tiny little hole in there, it's not damage. Alright? If there's a stain or a rock hole, rock holes are great because you get a little doily pattern all the way around the parachute. Okay? But if you go, oh, what's that big dark mark with a hole in it? That's damage, that's going to need repair. That's the criteria. Anything else is small. So, some of them may have a number 1 on them. On some of the metamorphoses, written in a very small pen will be the serial number. There, which is on the number 1 panel. And that was written by a Stadler pen. And we know it was written by a Stadler pen because we found one inside a metamorphosis parachute. I have a picture of it. You wouldn't believe me, do you? This is geek-filled. Extraordinary.
But art can you find?
You can. That's a very good question. The majority of yours should be marked. Yours, all number 1. They might even have all of them, like on the independences. Stefan has a very short attention span. Can't stand people asking him stupid questions. So one day when people sort of said, well, what's the panel next to number 1? He just got so fed up, he said, put number 2 on it, and he carried on from there. No, Bertie's doing that because if this was all joined up instead of a double track parachute, we would all do it something in one go. And that is fairly easy to do, but make sure that you slide along, bring it out. You're inspecting, it's very easy. If you're on your own, and you've got that, you can tie that to a wall. Okay? It's very easy to do. If you do tie it to something very enormous so it doesn't end up in a parachute. We've occasionally found carabiners that people have used inside.
Are you doing it above the...
How many panels this has got? I can count the number of panels like this, or I can count the number of lines. It would be the same. 1, 2, 6, 7, 8. The hang glide partners are doing 9, 10, 11, 12. There's a sticker for someone who knows the next number. Come on, sticker. 13, 14, 15. It's a good thing I retired, isn't it? 16. So it's got 16 panels. It's an even number. Okay? So I'm now going to split this panel into 8. But before I do that, I'm going to need a little helper to come here and just hold that. Because we haven't tidied up the other end. Bertie knows what I'm going to do. He knows how to do it. And there can just show he's learned what I'm going to do, because he's going to go around with the panels with me. Yeah? And here, at this top end, all I do is I do what's called squaring the top. It's a bit difficult to demonstrate this time. But all I'm going to do is put my hand there and pull it out square to the top. I can put my hand inside and give it a little tidy, just to get the apex down, and then just put it over like that. And I can go around just squaring off the top like that. And really pick the wrong one to demonstrate it. But again, all I'm doing is pulling it out square to the top and laying it down. For some of you who've got new ones, it's very easy to do, just follow the crease. And again, it gives me an opportunity to inspect. So squared off there, at the top, and like that. Bertie, you can carry on. So when I was doing that bit, you do that at the same time, squaring off the top. And you'll be able to see that the apex is lying down inside there. So again, you're reducing that friction burn of all the materials. He has the our parachute, all the flakes out on the outside, we've got all the lines tight, and we've squared off the top, and we've got the apex tidily inside, not twisted and tangled on the hole. We're now going to divide this canopy into two halves. Thank you very much. So we said it was 16, half of 16 hand-guided pilots? The one at Kerno said it's that much. Which I thought was brilliant. 1, 2. Bertie can do the same, he can count there. Now, joking wise about the counting, it's always a good idea to make sure you get this stage absolutely right. So I'm going to lift that out to the top there, then I'm going to swing it out that way. Sorry, Bertie, and lay it down flat here. So, swing it out there and lay it down on the ground like that. Count this. And what usually happens is the little panel has strayed at the bottom, and Bertie will do the same on the other side, there, and count that he has all 8. Lines tight, apex pulled down, all the flakes outwards, squared off at the top. We're getting there. And this is common to most of you, apart from ones who don't have the tabs. Now at this stage, you asked about the reference panel. So we're now going to do what's called the line reference check. On a canopy, what should happen is if I just rotate this, could somebody just put their hands around the bottom of the canopy there? Thank you very much indeed. And you'll see here, there is that centre line. Don't say we discovered one with a twist in it, that would be even more brilliant. Okay, there is our big centre line. And here are all the lines for the canopy going round in order. If I take the lines...
So can you just be clear for everyone, when you say the big centre line,
the
bigger material?
Bigger, larger, wider, and sometimes on the super ones, 2 of them. In different colour as well, all right? But that's the centre apex line, and it's in the middle there. And if I take the 2 lines on either side of it, and I have to be careful how to do it, so I might get this wrong. If you can just hold the bridle there just for viewing. And I take those 2 lines who are next to it, and I go along towards the canopy. I should do. Let's go back in that direction. Twisting it. You can see that they go continuously and unobstructed to the canopy. That's the front of the canopy. So in your question with the Junkers, you would lay it down, you would find the 2 lines on either side of the apex and the bridle, walk along, and that would take you to the reference panel. Okay? And you can see the workload. Alright? But you can see he's got it perfectly there. Don't forget, I'm showing you the techniques on different parachutes, but on the whole, this is the common way of this. Later on, when I start developing even more of what you do next, it gets different. So sometimes people watch me do it, they see me doing an ATCO, and they go away and they try and pack their independence angular the ATCO way. Right? So listen very carefully that I'm saying to you, this is on this particular parachute. All right? As I say, there's 3 parachutes here today that don't have packing loops. They'll all have different numbers of cells. Yeah. Yeah. This end and just make some folds. Look at the bag, and they don't have to be very big. And you do a straightforward fold over like that, and then you put it into a vertical brick, about like that. Okay? There are different ways of doing this. You can carry on making these bricks and dump the bag on top, which is one way of doing it. Or the other way, maybe I can do it on the table, is sit on the drogue with your legs on either side and pulling it in towards you. It feels like you're trying to pack the parachute inside your own bottom. This is why I call it child positions. And I'm going to take that number of folds there, just to start off, get hold of it and stuff it in the bag. I used to do this so carefully, and Stefan just looked at me and said, "Why are you doing that so carefully?" And I said, "Because I'm packing." He said, "It doesn't make bugger all difference. You could just roll it up and stick it in, as long as it goes in nose first." So, I take that handful, and I push it. This is why you sit on the drone, by the way. Into the bottom of the bag. Just let it come towards me, and I push it down into the bag. I use the lid of the bag to pull it away from me, so I've got that vertical. And then from then on, all I do is just carry on stacking it vertically into the bag. You see that? It comes apart a bit. You can get your mate to grip it for you, but he is not too fussed how tidy that is. You can get it very tidy, very crispy.
As long as it's concertina.
As long as it's concertina. You can often get hold of a D bag and you pinch it and the corners aren't full. You think, oh, the bag's too small, but in actual fact you've not used the full volume of the bag. Up to here, bring it there. It doesn't matter where the lines end up at this stage. And there it is all in, and you can almost feel why it's such a good pack, because it wants to spring out. As soon as those lines are pulled, you're away. Simple enough. So that valley fold is a very good way of doing it. And we're there. Take the bag and use the bag as a template, and I'm going to S the lines. There are all sorts of ways of doing this. First of all, can we put some tension on the lines? Just pull a bit more. That's it. That's just to tidy the lines up. You want the lines tight. They do slack it off. And I'm just going to make some line bundles. And all I'm going to do is just S the lines. I'm making them roughly the width of the bag, but really you should make them slightly smaller, because when you squish them, they go outwards. So I'm doing that. Put the finger there, go like this. Somebody's moving the harness. If you're on your own, have a bit of tension on the harness as you move it. And along I go like this, being very happy, talking away to myself. And he's moving that towards me. Now, on this particular harness, you see we've got a bit slightly slack line. It's not too bad. Okay, you are going to have to leave, because you've got 3 mouth locks and the parachute to put away, 90 centimetres of line. Leave a lot, and you'll probably find you haven't got enough. Okay, so I'm going to leave that. I'm going to do this, and I've S the lines. So it's the same principle for everybody else. I'll stop it there, I think. That there. And I've got my line bundles. I've done it there. Now, every single loop, on every single loop, I think on some of the gins. For others of you, they will say make 2 bundles, or something like that. This is how you put an elastic band on. Your wives are going to be all going, why are there no women here? Are you hobbits? Are you like elves? No women. Can't tell the difference. Anyway, take an elastic band, take all your fingers and put your elastic band on your fingers, like that. Right. Open your hand, go to the bundle. I'm going to get this wrong because I'm doing this in slow motion. Put your hand on and let go, and there it's on. Okay, that is how you put an elastic band on a bundle of line. So in this particular case, I could bundle them all up with an elastic band on each one. I think the gin lights recommend you do that. But if I'm asked to make them into bigger bundles, which on the Independence one I do, I have 2 bundles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7. I'm going to make a 3 and a 4. I don't know why. It doesn't make any difference. No, it doesn't. Right? I might do 3 bundles. In this case, I'll do 3. And I just put that over there into that group. Lines, tidy it up. Not too fussed about how tidy that is. And the same on this side here. Can you see? And it's just simple how to make bundles. And I made the 2 bundles that fit. You happy with that? So I'm just making these up into bundles and making quite a pig's ear of it.
How tight should they be? What size elastic bands?
It doesn't really matter. You've got your number 10s and they'll be on like that. They shouldn't be, you'll be able to tell, think, oh my God, those never come off in a month for Sundays. If they're too loose, you don't want them. Sometimes when you do the pack and it says, put elastic, and you haven't got the right elastic band, just put 2 bundles together. It really doesn't matter. There's a huge argument that Andy Cowley, when he makes the thing from the Ariane rocket, that has a huge list of stages of deployment. It must happen. It has cutters, mortars, things like that, and they've all got to go off in the right time. And that's called a controlled deployment, a sequence deployment. And then there's uncontrolled, where it just goes out in any old order, but it's through. And I haven't done it. The amount that goes through is roughly a thumb, all right? No more than that. There is a tendency of people to put a whole lot through. That means that stuff can go through, it takes a long time to come out, it's very untidy, there's loose line in the bag. I then go over to this one, you see this? Put it through, same again, do a mouth lock. Now you, the guy who had this before me, had the whole lot going through all 3 all in one big long succession. That is actually wrong, but I don't think it make that much difference.
Have you ever had a situation where either bands are so strong or they're so tight that the bag doesn't come off?
No,
Right.
but I suppose that's what you should be careful about.
Well, it's have to be a hell of a strong band.
You have to be held on band.
The whole ring.
Maybe that really good elastic band from NASA will. So that's the annular, except you've all seen how to S the lines, and you've all seen a mouth lock. Simple as that. Now, who's got one of the Jin Super Yetis?
What's the idea of the corners folding in on the
It's a fold inhibitor. It's your free flight one. It's a way of slowing down. Someone had texted me. The famous ATCO air channel. So my friend there is going to lift up the reference panel. You put your 2 thumbs into the middle of this piece of material, slide them evenly out, and that makes a vertical channel like that. Seen that? Okay, straight down the middle of the canopy. That totally foxes people who have the manuals, all right? They see it, they see the picture of it afterwards, and they can't get it. Lift that panel up, thumbs in, do that, lay it down. It's as simple as that.
Just for that panel or for them all?
Just for this one panel. This is going to be an air channel to help the chute inflate.
So what you're saying is we've done all our sort and we've laid it all out fine. And just before we go to fold, we put that last.
This is on the parachutes that need this to happen.
Oh, I know that. Yeah. But it's just in this particular one, what you're saying is when everything else is now, and just before you start to fold it, you put this
Yes.
last.
Yes.
The unique fold in the last.
I'm the new answer to you. I'm going to say yes to everything you say. You seem to know the answer, but they've done it wrong. You're only confirming. I don't mind. Keep asking. So you then take your finger, put it in the middle of that bit, and you pull it, and you make a little diamond. Okay. Now I have to tell you, this year at Kerner, they all suddenly started tittering like little children about that.
Because I would have said it's a little vagina. That's obviously that's a little one.
I think this is going to go on for as long as it did at Kerner. It went, and then there were a couple of women there, and one of them said, "Well, could you just tell them that that's the spot?" Top centre. How hard can it be? I said, well, obviously we brought some joy to the world. So this is the ATCO pack. It's copied by a lot of people. So this is the channel pack, and so on. From then on, it goes like this. There's that 45-degree fold in. It's a corner fold. And the trick is on top, there's the mark. You can use a wooden board or a ruler or all sorts of stuff. Lift it up, and I just fold it over and put it down on top of my hand. I pull my hand out very carefully. On some of your materials, you've got the new sticky F11 material, and when you pull your hand out, it will take everything with it. You can also notice here, and this is for the super people to notice, I haven't done it all the way up to the hem there. You see that? This is what's called a hem step. Because later on when I close the bag, I put the lines inside, I can put them on that little step.